We begin a new parsha, a new Sefer Shemot, Parshat Shemot. And in this week's parsha, we are introduced to the wondrous example for the entire world, and certainly for the Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu. The Torah tells us that during Moshe's ventures in this week's parsha that's described, he has to run away, as we know, from the palace of Paro, where he found comfort because he slew a Mitzri, a fellow Egyptian, as we would have it. And when he flees, he's around a well, and he saves the daughters of Jethro, of Yitro. But when the daughters of Yitro return to their father, they describe to him, Ish Mitzri Hatzilenu. This Egyptian man saved us. Chazal explained that this is very different to the description of Yosef. Even Joseph, when he found himself in the bowels of Egypt, he is consistently described as Ish Ivri, a Hebrew amongst the Egyptians. And Chazal say that they credit Yosef, that even though he found himself amongst the Egyptians, he consistently identified as a Jew. He wore the garb of a Jewish person. He behaved like a Jewish person. And for that reason, he was consistently described automatically, naturally, as an Ivri, a Hebrew, a Jewish person. Whereas Moshe was described as Ish Mitzri. He naturally was an Egyptian. He seemed to carry the air of and follow the patterns of an Egyptian person. And Chazal say that this is not proper, that we learn from here the importance of revealing our identity, of demonstrating who we are, and being honest and open with regards to who we are and what we and who we represent. And there's a very important lesson for us to learn from here, and that is, there are times when we are expected not only not to conceal our identity, but to reveal it, to share with others who we are, what we represent, and in addition, to share with others important things that need to be said, that need to be described, that need to be represented. And I'll give you an example. Recently, I sat with someone who told me that one of their friends, unfortunately and tragically, had experienced from a young man a sexual infraction. This young man invaded her and her privacy, and she was frozen and was unable to react, but in a very, very compromised, obviously, situation. And she had just gone through a very serious trauma. This young lady decided not to really tell anyone except for one or two of her close friends, and she said, I'll get over it. I'll be able to deal with it. Well, the reality is that she won't be able to. This is a trauma, a very serious trauma. And when the friend spoke to me about this, I explained to her that she absolutely has the obligation to reveal not necessarily and only the identity of this young lady who was invaded, but more importantly, to share it with an older person, someone who might be experienced, someone who might be able to aid this young lady towards repair, towards health, and towards the help that she definitely needs. And so what we learn from this week's parsha is a very important lesson. That is, there are times when we have to be open, when we have to discuss, when we have to converse, and we should not hide or conceal certain things, especially when it comes to life and death, when it comes to helping someone who experienced a serious trauma. We learn this from Yosef, we learn this from Moshe. We learn the importance of revealing and being open and honest with others, especially when it comes to issues that are life concerning. This is something that's very important for us to learn from the parsha. It is the Torah way, the Jewish way, and certainly it is the Gila way. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you once again for joining us. Please remember to consider subscribing to the page below and send me your comments. I will get back to you. Have a great day.